Oh, wait, yeah, Ellie has suggestions.
Okay, you should be on.
Okay, it is Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. Call a meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You didn't say it. Minutes and reports received and filed.
None.
Commissioner Committee Liaison Reports, upcoming meetings and events.
Eastside Business Association barbecue tomorrow night. HBA golf tournament Thursday. And Knights Columbus tournament Saturday down at Taos. Blue Tiger Athletic Club membership drive Sunday at Prison Brews, 3 o'clock. About it. Excuse me.
Unless you need my support.
RPC meeting tomorrow. Looks like that's it.
Well, I get to be the speaker for Learning and Retirement tomorrow. I'm talking about Bicentennial. We got commission Thursday morning. Saturday is the Oktoberfest on the south side. It's scaled back, but the Bicentennial Committee's going to have a booth. And then Monday, got a webinar with the city. And then we got EOC briefing, right? At 11? Next Monday?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. Okay. Commission comments? Bids and contracts. Signing of contract for 2020-24 food service program.
This was awarded a couple weeks ago, and it's the contract with Trinity Services Group, the sheriff's office.
Sorry, I was trying to get there.
I don't think it's attached.
It's just the signing of the contract.
Okay. It's already approved it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Move that we sign the agreement for food services with Trinity Services Group.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Signing a Missouri Police Chiefs training contract.
It's a standard training contract we owe Missouri police chiefs. There was some issues with the dates that Jill and I had to work with, but they finally gave us the right dates, so.
Move that we sign the agreement with Missouri Police Chiefs Association.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Signing of 2020-2021 HMV grant award.
This is the annual grant we signed with Missouri Department of Transportation, MoDOT, HMV. It's for $3,195. $3,195.
Is this the award?
Yes.
I move that we sign the grant award with the Missouri Department of Transportation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Signing of 2020-2021 DWI grant award.
Again, this with MoDOT, it's for $6,000 for an annual contract we sign every year.
Move that we sign the contract with Missouri Department of Transportation for DWI saturation enforcement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the PACE contract, is that Larry?
That's me.
Yeah.
This is a contract for collecting PACE loan made by the Missouri Clean Energy District to a home located inside the city limits, even though the county doesn't participate. I still have to collect on the loan. It's a 10-year loan for like $40,000. And this contract has them pay us the same commissions that we do for anything we collect from Jefferson City. It's pretty simple and sharp.
Okay.
So how do they do that if we don't participate in it?
Because the statute was written that collectors have to collect. So if a municipality participates in the program, then I have to collect, even though the county is not a participant. I wish we didn't, but no, we do.
All right, well, I got your email, and I was thinking about that. I thought we've gone over this before, and.
So is this the only one we've got?
It's the only one. And it's, the reason the collectors are fighting it so hard, and hopefully there'll be some legislation at some point in the future that will get us out of it. It's got a loan and the interest rates comes out to about 10%. Where you can certainly get a better loan than that on a home improvement loan or something like that.
I remember.
So his taxes are gonna go from $2,000 a year, what he currently pays, to $5,000 a year. And then the collectors, if he doesn't pay his PACE loan back, then we have to sell it on the courthouse steps like we do other municipal property. And that's just
And then they get paid first, and
Yeah.
whoever's carrying the lien on it is
Is
second,
secondary,
third, or
yeah.
wherever in line, so it's, I mean, that's just one of the reasons why I just didn't think it was a good idea either, but, yeah, I didn't realize the interest rates were, so they talk somebody into it, but here's how you do it, we're gonna give you on the interest rate.
Yeah, and their contract says they can change the amount he has to pay at any time.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember going, sitting in on the thing at MAC on this. It's like,
Do you need a copy signed? How many?
I just need one signed copy, I guess.
I move that we sign the PACE contract.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approval and signing of 2020 SS16 overhead door company.
The sole source ad has been ran for the sheriff's request of extra garage door panels with overhead door company. So today I'm asking for the sole source request form be signed, as well as the quotes from overhead door company, and the quotes equal $15,393.
Good.
Yeah.
I move that we sign the purchase order and the contract with Overhead Door Company.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval and signing of 2020 SS15 Applied Concepts.
The sole source ad's been ran for this one as well, for the sheriff's request of body cameras. Today I'm just needing signature on the sole source request form and then approval of the quote, which equals $24,696. And on this one, there is a binding arbitration that Jill pointed out, but the sheriff's aware of it.
Not a fan.
But they wouldn't remove it, right? Move that we sign the sole source and the contract with Applied Concepts.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contract award and signing of Woodhaven Drive pipe project.
We have a small little stormwater pipe replacement on Woodhaven Drive. We bid the project Friday. Sam Gaines Construction was the low bid. We recommend award to them in the amount of $21,080. And just a little description of this project. It was a failed pipe going between 2 yards. Holes were starting to form in the yards, and it was something we needed to do pretty quick. And I would expect to do more of these small contracted projects like this to supplement the work that we do with our own crews. especially in more emergent or, emergency type situations like this where we really need to get it and get it done quick. So we did the one on Joseph Drive recently, had bid with the other project on Brookview and Gateway, and this is similar to that Joseph Drive project. So recommend award to this, for this project to Sam Gaines Construction in the amount of $21,080.
What's that polymer coated CMP? Is that like a plastic pipe or is that
It's
something?
like a, no, it's a galvanized pipe, and it has a polymer coating, like a plastic coating on it, and the life expectancy is a lot longer. And typically what's that?
So it almost looks like a plastic pipe. I mean, is it kind of?
It's metal. Yeah,
Right.
it's kind of a hard,
Just hadn't seen that, I guess. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
kind
seen
of
a lot of the
hard
NDS
rubbery-
plastic stuff, but
yeah, it's not gonna rust out near like what some of the others do. It is a CMP, but it's got that coating. We've gone pretty much to doing, at least in more residential, more heavily traveled areas, if we go metal, it's gonna be either aluminized or this polymer coated. Galvanized is more for the gravel roads, the more rural areas.
you're just concerned about people burning in them or putting stuff in them or.
That's always a concern with plastic. And one of the main concerns that we have when putting these in residential areas, this one is metal. It's a full-blown metal pipe. It just has the coating on it. So not as big of a concern with that.
Right. Okay. I move that we award the Woodhaven Drive pipe replacement to Sam Gaines Construction.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Got a contract too. I move that we sign the contract with Sam Gaines Construction for Woodhaven Drive pipe replacement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do we have any unfinished business? New business accounts payable review.
Yeah. I'd ask for approval of accounts payable pending review.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approval of CARES Act application request.
Okay.
Moving right along.
Julie, can you hear us?
Yes, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'll let you take over. We're ready for you.
All right, sounds good.
Do you have a copy for me, Debbie?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, you should see in your
Printed out.
materials
Give it up to
there
Lynn.
our agenda that we want to cover today. We're going to talk a little bit about the reporting to the state of Missouri, also go through our funding recommendations, and then seems like we just went through this, but it'll be time to think about phase 3 funding methodology and kind of where we are in terms of the applications, which that'll make a little bit more sense once we go through the recommendations. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Teresa. Would you like to give an update on the state of Missouri reporting for Cole County?
Sure. Debbie and Kristen should have gotten their email to the State of Missouri portal so that we can do. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Oh,
you.
sorry.
Don't see you, but we hear you.
Oh, you can't see me.
It's all right.
It's okay.
So Debbie and Kristen should have got the email that they can get onto the State of Missouri portal for the reporting. The reporting deadline for the first quarter was moved to 9:30, so that gave us a little bit more time. We do have the initial reporting expenses kind of all lined out. We've got it into the template. We're just doing kind of a final check on it. And then we'll send it to Debbie and Kristen, I think is going to be the first thing, because there might be a few little things that I want them to look at, and then we'll bring it to the commissioners for their approval. I think that's all I had. Julie, did you have anything to add on that?
Now, do we have an estimate of how much we're expecting to bill on this first round?
Yeah, I think it was around. I think it was around $71,000 is what it came out to.
Sounds good.
And that's March 1st through June 30th.
Yes.
Correct.
All right, so then we're going to turn to the funding recommendations. Just a couple things I wanted to call to your attention as we think through this. As you'll notice on this document, we started out with $9 million for approved for Cole County. We've spent about $974,000, which gets us to the $8 million balance. And then you'll notice just in terms of what we have received in request is about $4.4 million. The bulk of those, which don't currently have documentation, which we'll talk a little bit more about that when we think through what we want to do for phase 3. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Liam.
All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We've got a couple of requests today. One is an internal request, and then the other is from a nonprofit for 2 separate things on your list. So the first is for 10 laptops for COVID tracking, telework, and training. This is an internal request through your IT department. 2 of those laptops are for your contact tracers. 2 are for the public administrator for Zoom meetings with clients, and the remaining 6 are for telework and training. Next, we have a nonprofit who is asking for PPE, including masks and gloves, and an additional 12 hand washing stations, and this was from an event that was held this summer. They had to have more hand washing stations because of the pandemic. And then they are also asking for a 6-month Zoom subscription for holding their board meetings. Are there any questions about any of these?
Chris, I would suggest you do not.
So, yeah, so I served on the committee for this nonprofit as commissioner, so I'll have to recuse myself on those, but I'm good on the laptops and other stuff, if you guys are good on that.
I'm good on all of them.
So how much money do we have for the nonprofits? These are small dollar amounts, but I'm just, what's the bottom number that we have, and how much do we have applied for? At what point do we start having to pick and choose?
We have 300,000 for the not-for-profits in the second phase.
I'm showing $300,502 applied for in here somewhere, and another $1.5 million applied for down below it. So, I mean, when do we have to start picking and choosing what we're gonna pay for? I guess is what.
Go ahead, Leanne, were you gonna say something?
Well, I was gonna say, so far, we have not had much of anyone submitting receipts. And so this is one that has submitted all the required documentation.
And that's gonna really lead us into kind of the larger final topic for today, is as we start thinking forward about how we want to spend, the remaining funds, knowing that we need to spend these funds essentially with the external recipients by November 30th. One of the things that we could consider is opening up phase 3 as an advance payment application, meaning that if the application was approved as requested, and then we have follow-up in terms of subrecipient monitoring, which we're required to do under CARES Act anyway. Some of these items could be funded. We're a little bit surprised by the fact that we continue to get applications without the funds yet being spent. And, we first thought, well, okay, so part of that may be just we need to promote it more, that it is a reimbursement process. And we can certainly continue to do that, but we also now need to kind of think through if there's something more systemic. And that's something we wanted to talk to you all about. If you're hearing anything from your constituents, what your thoughts are, because, you know, as it stands right now, we have about $4 million in requests. You know, you still have $8 million, so you still have $4 million, you know, quote, that you could, even though it's been allocated, you can always reallocate it as you need to. But obviously the goal is to be sure that we can meet the needs of the county. So with that, I just kind of wanted to open it up and hear your thoughts.
Can we go ahead and approve these if we're good and then move on to that?
Yeah, why don't we do that first? Yeah.
So when are we gonna run out of money on these, or is it all part of the September 30th deadline, right? Which ends next Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, it's correct. At this point, we're not in jeopardy of running out of funds. As you can see, we've got, you know, the 300,000 that has been submitted. You know, even those have not submitted any kind of reimbursement. As you see, there's not revenue, which is probably not going to be, is not going to qualify. So you're really looking at probably only about, you know, $150,000 of items that are potentially going to be compliant.
Can you get one that has a explorative before that, or?
I didn't know what that noise was. Like, what the hell was that?
Sorry,
Yeah.
squirrel ran through, so. I move that we approve D-10-01.
Second.
I'm fine with that one.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
But what about these other ones that we have going on? there?
Well,
Well,
I move we approve F00169 and F00169. I think really that's really pretty reasonable for the
I'm not
salute.
saying they're not reasonable.
No,
I'm just saying, if you have a bunch of people come in on September 29th and apply, or September 30th, and then we're gonna have to start picking and choosing amongst them.
Mhm.
So is this a first come, first served basis right now? If that's the way we're gonna do it, then that's fine, as long as we're doing it that way.
So we said, in terms of what we presented to the public, is we've been able to say that applications will be funded up to September 30th. And then we have said that the small business, those we would hold until the end. So my understanding is F is a nonprofit, is that right?
Yes, yes.
And so as you look through those letters, just so we know kind of what we're looking at in the future, if the project starts with a B, maybe you want to walk through those, Leanne, kind of what the letters mean.
Yes, if they start with an A, those are municipalities. B indicates that it's a public school. C indicates that it's a private school. D is internal to the county. E is a medical or healthcare provider. F is a nonprofit. And G is a small business.
and Leanne, can you put that at the bottom of this spreadsheet from now on, those initials? Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes.
A was government. Is that right?
yeah,
Municipality.
municipalities. Yeah, I mean, as you said, they've already spent the money and they submitted the bill, so they're really one of the few that's kind of following our guidelines, so.
And in phase two, you
Who
can,
says nobody's following the guidelines? You got till September 30th.
Well, but she was
So-
saying that a lot of them have not, they're submitting requests, but they have not expended the funds yet.
That has
Yeah,
nothing
it
to do with the ones that are
has
gonna apply on the
noticed the subtotal
29th and
for
30th.
municipalities of 1.4 million. Most of those are from Jefferson City, and those are things that they had not purchased yet. So unless they make some purchases, I don't see anything happening with most of that subtotal. Aside from that, we have about 1.8 million that we're actively working on or following up on.
Yeah, so we certainly have the, the discretion to hold on these items until the end of the month. So it's not something, we have to do, but we do realize we'll have one more commission meeting next Tuesday, and then we'll have one on Thursdays as well. But essentially, we just wanted to start thinking and planning ahead for whatever we want to do as we move into October. But at this point, really the only thing that's on the table for approval is this roughly $1,000. In addition, I know you've already approved the $8,000.
But if you have somebody buying stuff this week, they're not gonna have their receipt until next week. If they're buying it now and they submit it next week, you still got till the 30th. So-
Sure, absolutely.
So, while these amounts are trivial, it could come into play when we start having to pick winners and losers, or recipients and non-recipients, however you wanna call them. So,
All right.
So you just wanna wait?
that's kind of where I'm at with it, unless you want to do a first come, first serve, and you snooze, you lose mentality, then you can do it that way. But we put a deadline of September 30th on there, so people may be waiting, and I don't know. It's maybe nothing going on with it.
Is that the deadline for all nonprofits?
It's just phase 2.
Just phase 2?
I mean, what
And
you
then
all
we-
had said in there was, you had a budget for each one of those.
Right.
So you had so much for nonprofit, and then you also had a limit per nonprofit, I think was 25,000.
Right.
So you had those stipulations in there. I know you talked about waiting till the end to see them all, but we're just a week from that, and they got this one done, so. But if you wanna wait, I don't see very many other ones listed here, so, Leanne, are you up?
We have until the 30th.
I'm sorry, Jeff. Leanne, do you have any lot applications still besides what's here that is coming in?
No, what's on this list is pretty much everything that we have, other than if something came in yesterday.
Okay.
And Leanne, do you want to touch on, I think we have one more thing coming in for Thursday from an internal cost perspective.
Yes, for Thursday, we'll plan to bring in the internal expenses from March through June that we just talked about a little bit ago. That would be just to have formal approval of what's already been spent and what we expect to report on for the September 30 deadline.
So I don't have my crystal ball or my time machine, so I can't go tell you how many we're gonna have on September 30th. But if you wanna do first come, first serve, that's the way you wanna do it, then we can get these and move with them. But I don't.
I understand what you're saying, and not necessarily just for nonprofits, but for also businesses and stuff too, and that's kind of where I was at is, trying to look at all the businesses together and see how they scored, and then see, if we're gonna, if we fund it or if we don't fund it. But if we don't have a lot of applications and we want to keep that amount open to nonprofits or businesses or whatever, do we extend the deadline? And give them more time to apply? Or do we open up and, we reallocate in phase 3 and we say, hey, we still got this money available, you got until October 30th or?
So if they apply and they qualify before the deadline, then that goes without saying that, okay, you can approve all of them. And if there's money left over, then you open up phase 2B
Right.
or whatever. Or you take it and you give it to, maybe the schools need more, maybe the municipalities need more, then you reallocate the funds somewhere else, so.
I mean, I get what you're saying, because I mean, that's kind of the way I feel about it with businesses and, you know, whether it's sewer bills or, you know,
Yeah,
whatever that may be. I mean,
Yeah.
whether we think that that's a priority or not. But it's, kind of gives you some perspective when you're looking at them all together.
Yeah, I will withdraw my motion to approve them, but.
It already died. There was no second.
Yeah, I
It
know.
was dead, it's laying on the floor, we were saying, I'm sorry.
Still withdraw it, but, you know, it,
But we want that to stay on the list moving forward.
Yes.
Is that,
Yeah, I
Okay. Okay.
didn't vote to deny it.
right? I just want to clarify that, so
Right.
we'll take them all up after that September 30th deadline.
I'd rather have this argument when there's only $1,000 on the table. So, it's not so hard. So,
Okay. All right, does that give you some direction?
We'll hold those two. Is there anything else that you had, Leanne?
All right, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
So I believe then we will continue as we have been bringing those forward. As we mentioned, we'll have one item for Thursday. We'll send you the agenda information for that. And we'll just continue on. And if anything that comes up between now and then, we will let you know, and we'll provide the information on the billing reporting for next week as well.
Yeah, and we will also have, I think, 3 of our school superintendents here shortly, because they're talking about contact tracing, and I think what we're talking about doing is just having the health department hire them as part-time, and they can kind of work all the schools. So if you want to stay on and listen to that, or,
Yeah, I would like to hear that. So yeah, we'll just go on mute and we'll listen to that conversation.
yeah, I think they were supposed to be here about 10:15, because I didn't know how long this was going to take, but they had contacted us and contacted our health department, and so we're going to see what they're asking for.
Okay. One thing, just while we have some time, just to let you know, kind of the next phase that we have is the subrecipient monitoring. And maybe phase is not necessarily for funding. This would just be as part of our requirements. Now that we're kind of into that application process, and we have been awarding some of those reimbursements, we will start doing some testing, looking at any potentially high-risk subrecipients, and really that's just an objective checklist based on kind of the information they have, their sophistication in terms of tracking and monitoring. So that will be kind of the, not necessarily the final step, but it is probably, for those that have already received funding, we'll want to go through and make sure we tested those out. So you'll be seeing some language around that. You can see there in the agenda just what that means. We have to develop the protocol, looking at any kind of audit requirements if they're subject to audit, and then developing these checklists and performing the risk assessments and reviewing any of the spending. So just look for that, and you can see there the reporting due dates. Some of those due dates may change now that I don't know if the state, since they shifted to September 30th, I don't know if that's going to affect all of the subsequent dates. I tend to think probably not, but right now the reporting due dates that we have are what we know. So we'll, again, keep you posted on that.
whenever you guys get those sub-recipient agreements back that they signed last week from the sub-recipient, so we can go ahead and order the supplies or reimburse them. The sooner you know, the sooner we can get started on that.
Okay, and we'll probably develop a, more just like a formal communication back so that you will have, you know, the documentation that you know you're ready to start purchasing.
Okay,
So we'll get that for you.
sounds good.
Okay, that it?
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Okay,
I'm staying, right?
yeah. Here, go on, you.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can keep moving ahead. Park Committee disc golf discussion.
Okay, at our park committee meeting, September 8th, Stan Balky from the disc golf group came and gave a presentation. He would like to do 3 tee pads with concrete, and they're gonna pay for those. And he's asking about doing the other 6 holes if the county would participate in that. We have 9 holes out there now. And the cost for the county would probably be around about $500 probably. 450 to 500 for the signs and the concrete and all that.
So you said there's 9 holes out there already?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have 9 holes now, and they're
How
gonna,
do they play if they don't have it?
Well, so they just have kind of an area marked in the grass where you
Yeah.
tee off at.
they're just
There's-
teeing off in the grass.
Yeah, and so the baskets are set up, but there's no
Okay, so
designated,
there's 9 baskets set up and then there's just a stake in the ground.
Well, yeah,
where
they-
started.
kinda, I mean, they don't even have a stake in the ground, they just have a course and you just get close and you play. Obviously they've
Almost like
had,
a dirt spot.
yeah, where the grass is worn out.
Yeah.
So is it a good dirt spot or average, below average dirt spot with rocks in it and stuff?
Anyway,
It,
Thanks, John, for getting us off task here.
It's-
What I do is I help you.
it's been good, I mean, it's getting a lot of use, it's
So,
getting a lot of people out there. so.
They have a league on Mondays, and they got 20 players that go to that, and they've been averaging that for their league, and then tournaments, they usually get about 50,
So
so.
what kind of sign are you gonna put up there?
We was gonna use the no parking plates that we have, and just what they're wanting
Print
on
something
the,
up on them?
what they're wanting on
Print logos
the,
on 'em?
what they're wanting
Yeah.
on the sign
Oh,
is that.
okay.
So, why don't we sell sponsorships to it then?
Good.
If you want that.
We talked about using just like a regular signpost that maybe welding a plate on the bottom or something, so we could just tap con them into the concrete or something, so that it'd be easy to mow around and,
Yeah, and then if they get damaged or something, we can just unbolt them and put a new sign back up.
I don't think it's a bad idea, I'm just trying to figure out how to pay for it.
$500.
there's money in the parks budget to do it.
There's money in the parks, but
I wanna use that money for something else.
You wanna get some land down Osage City?
Not enough room
it's a,
for
it's a good
frisbee
use of
golf
the
or
park.
for a
but-
dog park or anything down there.
It's less grass we gotta cut.
Just gotta cut around more stuff.
I don't think it's a good idea.
I'll just try to sponsor each one, I know it pays for itself and generate some revenue that go back into the parks. So you got 9 holes, I don't know, there's a sponsor on there and.
Well, and they're looking to
It's every year.
expand,
In the
they're looking to
future, even.
expand, they wanna make it an 18-hole course, on the backside of the ball fields, over there
Yeah,
between the
they're-
ball fields and.
They're wanting to go on where the
So
ball
we can
fields
go ahead and order
are.
the pads. And get a sign and then tell them to work on sponsorship signs that can go back to the parks for doing this stuff. You're on the Parks Committee, right? So
Mhm.
you're more,
Helsher Enterprise gonna sponsor one?
no, but Eastern District Commissioner might. I don't need advertising for that. I'm too busy with that.
Can I offer a suggestion?
Yeah.
A sponsorship idea is great. Maybe not put it on these individual pole signs because companies come and go and it might be hard to get a consistent idea for these signs. But maybe a separate, maybe they could just sponsor the park disc golf or the park in general and the sign separate for that, and a whole one or something along those lines.
Yeah, like a whole one we was gonna put up, we had an idea at the committee to do like a layout of the course and have it where they have the, first hole. We could have a sign there. I mean, you could put your sponsorships on that.
Down below, but, yeah, thanks to the sponsors.
Yeah.
Well, there's not a whole lot of money in the parks anyway, so I'm trying to help you generate some revenue. You got about 3 more months to care, don't you?
No.
We can get the sign.
I'm fine.
I
with
think
it.
it's a good thing. It's
I'm
not
fine
that
either
big a-
way, yeah.
No, I'm fine with the pads in there, but I would try to look at some way to generate some revenue for, that would go to the parks.
Yeah,
They
and
don't
that-
do some of that
that's-
stuff and to maintain it because it's not something that I want to throw a whole lot of money towards.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the
Yeah,
parks.
that's a
I mean,
good- that's a
there are
good
things out there
idea.
that we're using, so.
You get a lot of use out of it though. I mean, you know, the ball fields are getting a lot of use and so, and people are going down and walking the trail while they're out there and then.
I got trails I can walk, don't cost me anything.
But they're out at the ball field.
But like
They're
Chris
just being
said, with the
difficult.
expansion
Well, they're
back
good.
here,
They can-
they're gonna come to you later.
Give 'em a
This
weed
is
eater
not
too,
a
or what?
Final drawing, so
I would like tree trimming maybe a little bit.
I just need approval now for.
I move that we approve the expenditure.
Yes, I'm okay with the expenditure.
Okay,
Are you seconding it?
Yes, second.
All in favor?
Aye. Oh my
thank
gosh.
you.
And you thought it was, you thought it was
never gonna
bad
see any
discussing
signage,
parking.
Yeah.
Okay. This,
On the outside of the fence is at the ballpark too. We can put signage there too. Do you
okay.
know how much money we make at the Lions Club on them things?
Discussion of
Like
installation
$300
of plastic
per sign.
prisoner transport seats.
And
So-
there's 30 signs out there.
got-
10 grand a year that you make on that stuff.
You
So
won't,
why leave it out there? You got people that want to pay for it.
so on the
Hurry.
transport seats,
Can you put signs on them?
no. So, we got a grant from
Yeah, I think
from
it's-
the CESF grant from JAG on
Jail-
purchasing
jail
plastic
bonds.
seats, transport seats that go in the back, they're easier to decontaminate. Unfortunately, they didn't give us any money for installation. And when we first showed it to Wireless USA, they said 4 hours work, and it turned out it's gonna be 8 hours work per vehicle because they have to take either the front of the cage apart or the back of the cage, depending on the type of vehicle. So what we're asking for is, I'm asking for $15,000 to be appropriated from my contingency fund and moved into my capital improvements to pay for that. I did fill out a CARES Act internal form, and I sent it to the caresact.com or .org, whatever that is. I halfway expected them to talk about today because I sent it last Tuesday, but it didn't come up, so I'll have to follow up and find out why they didn't, if they got it and they're just not reviewed it yet or whatever, because I have 2 more that I'm gonna be putting in. So I wanna make sure that they're getting to where they need to be on this, on the email that they gave us. But I did put in for CARES money for this, since it has to directly do with COVID on decontamination of squad cars. I have a,
Do you have money in your capital to just do this and then?
I don't know, it's too close to the end of the year. We possibly could, but I may end up coming back to you by the end of the year because there are some things that I didn't spend money on yet. For instance, the painting, I haven't done that yet, and I still plan on doing some of that before the end of the year, but I don't know if there'll be enough there.
I mean, I'm good with doing it. I just, you need to spend it out of your capital and then transfer the money later if need be, but.
That's okay with me, just as long as you guys know that I may be coming to you for the 15 grand, because I'm not sure if 15 is gonna cover it.
I mean, and I agree. I think, you know, CARES funding may cover this, so, I mean, then you could just reimburse it back into capital and be one less transfer unless you want to do it
I
a
think that's how
different
she
way.
would want it.
Yeah, I mean, if they can go pretty quickly through that application, I prefer to pay it directly out of CARES, but
Right.
But, well, the problem is they won't be totally installed, so I won't know it'll be probably another 8 to 10 days before I'll know exactly how much money that's gonna be, because it depends upon each vehicle. But I'm good with not doing the transfer, as long as you know that I may come back to you, depending on how much money it is and how close we get to spending our
Right.
expenditures before the end of the year.
If you're gonna move money, I prefer to move it into your emergency line, subtract those expenses.
Oh,
together.
yeah,
That's what we're doing
yeah.
at the moment with the reimbursement, so I'd rather not bury it in capital. You're gonna move money anyway.
So you're gonna transfer from contingency and emergency?
Well, and then do you want to do that, or do you want to wait and see if CARES money? It doesn't matter to me how we do it. I just want to make sure that I can pay Wireless USA whenever it's done.
How long is it gonna be before we know what the bill's gonna be?
Probably 8 days.
So let's wait and see where your application is when you get the bill, and if we don't have it yet, then we'll do a transfer.
I'm good with
Okay.
that. Y'all
Yeah,
good with that?
yeah, I'm good
Okay.
with that.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
And you could actually sell ads on the back for bail bondsman.
Well, people already do pay for that.
Okay. I say we've got some of our superintendents and stuff out there. Anything else before we do the contact tracing at schools? Yeah, okay. We're ready to go. By golly, we've,
How are you? Good.
How's your arm?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Walking around like this.
At least you didn't get sick afterwards, right? You had to make it yesterday.
and BKD is gonna listen in too. Yeah, yeah, they're,
Appreciate y'all coming out too.
Yeah.
Hey Sam, do you think your UDs?
there's one floating around somewhere.
Here's, I just picked it
Oh.
up out of the mail. I'm looking for the one where the Pentecostal bridge collapsed.
Oh, I bring them in, I try to give one to Jeff when I get them. Did you see it, Jeff? Did you get it?
I don't know if you gave me that one, I don't remember seeing it.
No, I know, I-
saw
Like
it
over here this way.
Facebook and stuff, so.
Heard Mr. Dooley was out talking to you yesterday.
Yeah, I just talked to him for a tour.
He was impressed.
Good. I didn't expect you to get through all those contracts that quick. That's why we were waiting.
Well, we did 3.
I tried to stall him a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
It's my turn.
Yeah, I'm kind of scares me to think of Thursday, Jeff.
No, Thursday's gotta be short, we're gonna go off tournament.
Oh.
It's for you.
Oh,
From 1963, right after JFK was assassinated. It's the News Tribune from 1963, November 24th. We were moving our campus.
see, with the Capitol, which we're using on our monument for the bicentennial, so we will immortalize your Capitol dome.
I thought you might find this interesting.
Yeah. That was something. No, you could, say, go to the 50 Highway Drive.
Mm-hmm. Play goes after dark.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad are driving by late. Send me a good look at scan.
Maybe, yeah, but she's not working, she's not retiring till when, November? Yeah, December.
West Side Story, the bridge.
I think you guys need to sit.
Yes.
Okay, good morning.
You can try to sign in here, please. Jim, let's start, pass around.
You guys want to, you guys can be on the same side of the table?
Oh, two right there.
Good morning.
Meeting or not. Okay.
And we have BKD, which is our accounting firm. They're also sitting, yeah.
Julie, are you still there? Can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay.
We're all still here.
Okay.
So we're here to talk about contact tracing. So you guys need assistance with that, or trying to cut to the chase here?
Jim, you nominated you, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, that's, I get to kind of be the spokesman.
Okay.
First off, we want to say thank you to the Cole County Commission, the Cole County Health Department for their, tireless work during this unprecedented time. I'm kind of selected to represent a group of Cole County school administrators, public, parochial. We started meeting back in March. We've met almost every 2 weeks since then. And really the conversation has changed each and every week since March. First, we thank you for, providing the needs for personal protective equipment, sanitation, disinfecting equipment, other health equipment for elevated temperature checks and things along those lines. And I know they could maybe speak to some other things. And then the support of the Cole County Health Department, Christy being their leader, Chesney, Donna, Jen. I know if I start naming people, I'm going to miss a few people. But, we're here to say thank you, and we're also here to say, ask for some support on what we identify as our greatest need right now, that being contact tracing. From the moment the investigation starts until the last quarantine notification is made, there is an extreme amount of time that is needed through that process. Our focus is on learning and teaching. We didn't get into this business necessarily to be physicians or COVID-19 experts. We rely on the professionals on that end, but we are working together. Contact tracing is going to involve school leaders, school teachers, school personnel, but we're seeing it take away from the learning and teaching aspect, and are asking the county to maybe support through the Cole County Health Department, because again, it's about all students in Cole County here, whether they go to a public school or a parochial school. We want to see the needs that these students have be met the best they can, and we feel like the best way to do that is to add some additional support to the Cole County Health Department to assist schools across Cole County with contact tracing.
Well, when we talked, I talked to Christy shortly thereafter and said, how do you want to do this, what's the best way to do this, because we want to do it, be consistent, and like I said, we want to keep you all teaching and learning and that, so. I thought it was gonna be easier if we hire the people ourselves and take care of
And
the
we just want to hear
schools,
from
so.
you
Be
the
great.
logistics of it, like, how many people should we hire? Should they be assigned to specific schools? Should they just go to those schools? Like, I think the devil's in the details, and that's what we need to figure out. But you're very supportive of having additional staff that are assigned just to schools.
And I think we may need your all's help finding people,
I
and if
think-
you've
I
got
agree with
retired
that
teachers,
also.
maybe that know your system and your buildings and stuff, I think that is something that's very feasible.
Right.
And very, shouldn't be that big of a deal, so.
And I think we have, as far as a coalition of schools or saying we're stronger together, that we'll share. And because with our, we were starting out thinking of 6, and if, in a sense, when we look at with the geographically and our schools, from our 18 schools to the parochial, to the Eugene, Russellville, Blair Oaks, Wardsville area, but with an agreement that we're going to share these, but just trying to determine what the need is. And I think our biggest challenge would be, can we find these folks? But if we really try to be intentional and get our heads together of those folks to, again, focus on the teaching and learning, as Jim said, so.
Were you thinking 6 full-time or part-time? Because I think logistically, it's harder for us to hire full-time because of benefits, so we really should count me.
We get that. Right now, we have 0, so 6 part-time would be better than 0
Yeah.
part-time. But, no, I get that.
Well, we just.
I know you are.
Phase 1 was the schools. You were the most important part to get open. So now you come back to us and say, this is what we need. We want to give you what you need. We don't know how many.
And I think we all underestimated the amount of time it would take and how much collaboration, because it's not just calling and saying you have a case in your school, it's what's the layout, what's the seating chart, what do they do after school? There's a lot of parts that we have to rely on the school on, because we're not there seeing where that kid sits, who they go to lunch, all the logistics of it, so.
So we probably run several.
Right, yeah.
To be really honest, Elias has run several of these contact tracings. And every time it happens, it is 2 to 3 hours. From the initial contact through, these kids have been quarantined, their parents have been contacted, and letters have
That's
been
pretty
issued.
quick.
2 to 3 hours is pretty dang good.
Right,
Yeah.
but that is with our school nurse and myself doing it like at the same time. So internally, if we have 2 to 3 cases a day, we could probably handle that internally. But if we get to the 4 positive cases, 5, a teacher, that is beyond our scope to effectively do, even in collaboration with the health department. So that is with a school that has a trained now contact tracer inside the building. That is what we're working on. So St. Peter's also does not have a school nurse. You think 500 and some odd kids with no ability to support that. So if you look at even the public and non-public, those schools which don't have school nurses, it could take 4 and 5 hours. And if the goal in Cole County is to keep our schools open, which I think that is collectively everybody's goal, this is by far the biggest need. Sunday nights for Chad, for Stacy Campeter, for myself are miserable. They get their results on us usually by noon on Sunday, and then all of a sudden your phone rings. And now it's, did they play football? Who did we play? Where did they go? Were they over the weekend? Because we're trying to get everybody staying home by the Monday morning. And if you had those additional people to also work some weekends to help with that process, it would alleviate some of the things that happen Monday morning, because you could have positive kids walking through your building or kids who are exposed and you would have no idea. So that's kind of the process on the school end.
And you all are notified before we are.
Yes.
Because it takes the state a lot longer to tell us than you all do. So we really don't even get that notification till much later after you all. We normally know about it ahead of time, and we kind of make notes that we know to watch for this case.
Right, so if it's a Monday, if it's they get notified on a Sunday, Cole County's not gonna get that information. At best case scenario, noon on Monday, which means they were symptomatic at a party on Saturday, not that kids do these things in people's basements, right? And now they walk in our doors, and those are the things that are gonna shut our schools down way faster than anything else.
We've had 256 contact tracings here in the month of September alone. And if you're talking 2 hours each, and there was a 190 and 109.
And those aren't cases, that's just the contact tracings that have to happen.
We've had 58 and it's updated daily on our district website, 58 positive cases of staff and students.
I have to say too, the schools are doing a great job of trying to minimize exposure at school. I mean, the social distancing, the masking, hand hygiene, all that stuff. And Chesney was saying that, you know, we want to put a press release out soon if she has time to write one, basically praising the schools that they've done such a great job. What we really need parents to do is to also do their part and try to minimize exposure on the weekend, because people are having sleepovers and parties, you know. But unfortunately, if there's a case, the schools are going to get blamed, and they shouldn't. You know, they're doing everything they can. And we want to keep them open because the benefit far outweighs the cost.
We want to make sure that people continue to maintain the confidence in the Cole County Health Department. They've worked tirelessly through this, and we're in this together. And, you know, feel like we have the County CARES Act money. This is our biggest need right now, and maybe the best way to utilize it. And again, it's not that we don't support some of those other needs that we've had and are going to continue to have, but this human resource would be extremely beneficial to all the students and schools in Cole County. Right now, in the Blair Oaks R2 School District, 90% of the citizens, or the 90% of the people who are there, are either at Blair Oaks, at St. Stanislaus, St. Francis Xavier, or St. Thomas during the school day. So at 10 o'clock right now, that's where they're all at. I mean, these resources we put towards serving where the most of our people are at during the school day.
So I guess some of the questions I had for Christie was how are we gonna do this? Then if we get 6 part-timers, or if we get 12 part-timers instead of 6 full-timers, however we do it, where do we sit them? Can they do this from home for the most part? They would have to visit the schools at some part. We don't actually have to have a physical desk for them.
Right. Yeah, we don't have 12 more offices,
So-
So the non-publics, we talked about that, whether we could house them in an office space, and we would find a place to house them if that helped, right?
Well, and I was wondering if like if the diocese says we need 2 or 3 and they take care of all the Catholic schools, you know, and they're kind of assigned to the diocese, and then we work out the public schools, whether you need 2 or 3 part-timers just for JCPS, if Blair Oaks and Eugene could share one, if Trinity and Calvary could share one. I think that's what we need to figure out is the logistics. 'Cause
And then
we
if
don't
there's
have
a
the
peak
space.
somewhere, then they can.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They can float as needed, but we just go ahead and kind of have them assigned, because that way they learn your schedule, your layout.
And they can walk, I mean, walking around the school, you figure out a lot about where
Right.
people are and what they're doing.
And they could provide education if they did.
That's a good idea. I like
anything
that.
To actually do.
I know, Chris, we chatted about this via text and email. The non-public schools, at least the Catholic and the Lutheran schools, all receive that PPP small business loan, which negates our ability to receive any funding from the Cole County CARES Act funds. So, we allocated $100 per student, so I have $75,000 I cannot spend. St. Peter's has $50,000. We can spend it in services, right? If that money was used to allocate it towards services, we want those services for every kid, because Larry's ability to stay open has a direct correlation on ours, and Blair Oaks, and like, we are in a petri dish of germs with children together all the time. So we want to do what's good for everybody.
How long does it take to train somebody to do this?
There's a few online classes they can take, and then we usually have them sit with somebody, kind of like watch a couple, do a couple. So we could probably have them trained in a day or 2, not long. Like I said, the online classes, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation has a great contact tracing online thing, and they get a certificate, and then like I said, then it's just kind of job shadowing. So would you say probably a day?
Yeah, I mean, like Stacy did the contact tracing thing, and she was on her own at the school. I mean, she never came over and worked with us, and needed, I think you all have another one at IC too, so.
Might depend on the person.
Yeah.
But I would, if you gave us one, we would just put her with Stacy and
Yeah.
put her with Chad.
Have them do the online
Have them do the
class.
online class, and then, yeah,
It
I
doesn't
agree.
take long. It's just, I think, finding the people
That are gonna wanna do this temporary.
temporary part-time.
I think it keeps us to allow the health department to take care of their tracing
Yeah.
in general.
Well, and maybe do some more
Provides
education.
consistency too for the schools.
Yeah.
so.
We're
Let's-
working with the hospitals to get some more education out there, but Chesney hasn't had time to help much because she's been busy contacting them.
This is what the care money's for, so,
So I think we just
So
need to
do
know
we-
how many and if you can house them and where they would go, and then we could start recruiting and get them they'll have to do it on paper. They won't have access to the EpiTrack system. So that means once they get those done, they have to send them back to us, and we'll have to put them in the EpiTrack system.
So if we're contracting them though, we don't have to put them on full-time, we could contract with them, right?
Either contract or
Rather than
part-time.
hire a part-timer or contract with them. So if somebody said, look, I wanna do 40 hours, I'm ready to go.
That's an
We'll
HR
contract.
question, not a.
That more difficult?
I mean, if you're talking about a
Because
temp
part-time is only
service,
20 hours a
going through
week.
a temp service, or are you talking about?
Nope.
No.
I'm talking about somebody comes in, I don't care if they're retired or they're sitting at home and laid off from another job, say I wanna help and I wanna make some money on benefit.
If
More
they're-
power to them.
If they're temporary, truly temporary, you can hire them for 40 hours a week. You better be seasonal temporary.
Well, we've
I
only
think we
got
just
two.
need
Hopefully it's all money
We're
runs
hoping.
out.
Well, that's true. The money runs out at the end of December.
Yeah, so we've only got 3.
Jill?
That would probably help.
3 months.
You agree about part-timers that work 40 hours a week.
Well, because you can roll the hours over, you know, like 6 months or something.
Over a 6-month period or over a year?
Yeah, we are on a year calendar.
Right.
I'm just saying, if we have somebody that can do it full-time, I don't wanna turn them away because
Right.
I don't wanna have
Well,
12 part-timers, it's gonna be easier to train
Well, like they
6 than
said,
it is
20
12.
hours a week is not very many cases.
So,
And it's gonna depend, because some days we may get several cases on one day, and then we go 2 or 3 days and we don't have any. I don't know if that's happened yet, but my wish, in my
Might not in
dreams,
school, maybe.
you know.
Not in our world.
Yeah.
And I think some of it will be dictated by what is available. And so, I mean, if it's, there's 4 full-timers that are available and 3 part, or maybe there's just 8 part, I mean, that's where I think we'll need to be flexible, because we can say, here's what it'd be if it was a perfect world, but in a perfect world, are all those folks available and at the time frame that we want? So if we could have a commitment of that, if we put it out there to determine with the county and our schools working together of posting the position full, part-time, and just see what the availability might be, because I think that'll dictate, and then we can determine.
Yeah, because they
from
could
there.
float, if you get like 3 for the parochial schools, that would be for, and then say 3 for you and 2 for you. If you don't have a lot of cases at Blair Oaks, then those 2 can work
We'll all share.
wherever, the biggest numbers are, so.
That was one of our focuses in there, we wouldn't want somebody to sit, well, we'd like them all to sit idle, right? If that's supposed to work. We'd like to have nobody, but that they need to be responsive to where the need is at. I mean, we're gonna use these resources, we wanna make sure we use them wisely, whether that be at Russellville or Eugene, any of the parochial schools, Jeff City. I think 80% of the students in Cole County are in Jeff City Public Schools, so there's gonna be a greater need there. We did that analysis, I think, to break down the CARES Act money when we first started down this road. So they do have the greatest need, and we just need to be responsive. The weekend is another area that was pointed out. We just want to continue to work together and not wait, and we want to be proactive as we can. And I think that this is an effort to do that and support the Cole County Health Department in their support of us.
I mean, I'm good with doing it. I just think that it should be run through the health department.
Yeah.
I mean, there needs to be some oversight.
We agree with that.
We're totally responsible regardless if we subcontract or, I mean, we're ultimately responsible. They could help with entering the data or whatever, so, if that gets to be a problem,
If you
so.
have computer use, I think we can get them into EpiTrax too.
So then it's just, do they have computer access at school, or do we have to buy computers?
Yeah, that would be
So it's just a little.
I think if you put I know for us, if you assigned us 1, right, or whomever, we could issue her a computer with our computer restrictions, because I need her to have access, or he, access to our student information system anyway, because otherwise I have to run a report with every parent contact information on it. Again,
Or
right?
send out that communication.
And I'll have to check into that to see if EpiTrax will let it, how we can do that, but I'll check into that to see if we have people out, yeah.
Which is why I wouldn't want to give student information to 12 people, right? But if you
No.
sign that confidentiality that you can do that, I would give it to 1, and they could work with my point person or yours or whomever, because otherwise you're not really saving us time if we have to run every seating charge,
Right.
every parent phone number. It's not saving us time. We might as well do it for you anyway.
I mean, I'm fine hiring them part-time temporary. If they work 40 hours or more, we pay them what we pay them, and it'll average out, and they'll still be under that full-time status, so, where we won't have to pay benefits, but.
Yeah.
I can put a blurb out to try to get
And
applicants for
maybe the
it.
schools can help us too.
Yeah, yeah.
See what
We
the
can reach out
availability
as
is.
well.
Tomorrow morning, right, Jeff?
And if you-
Yeah.
Right there, the ad would be right in the article.
There we go, Jeff.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Thank you, sir.
The place we find jobs is posting it to all of our social media.
Mhm.
Like how we found subs was putting it out there, so.
I'll send you a couple of sentences and then she'll add the county stuff and then we can send it out.
Like
Yeah.
qualifications for, like what would somebody need to have, like what would their background need to be?
Heartbeat. Reading.
You don't have to read right.
Read,
Good
right.
communication skills, I would think good communication skills.
High school diploma, like they don't have to be a nurse. Like, we
No,
can't
do
train
not have to be a
someone-
nurse.
I can
No.
train my sixth grader to do this.
But if you have some
Well,
retired
we-
teachers who would
I don't want just.
like to come back, that would be,
Like, we have a ton.
Sam, we're also got subs we need too.
yeah, they know, well, they
Don't
know
take
your,
all our subs
you know,
now.
retired
Contact
teachers
us.
know your schools,
Okay.
so,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, no, that's gonna limit what we
We're
pay.
not- we're not paying that $20 an hour. There
Do
are
what?
tons of young college kids right
Right.
now who are not going full-time to college, they're
Right.
taking classes online.
Yeah.
If they're smart, well-written, whatever.
And as I say, yeah, we
they
want
work
somebody who's gonna be
part-time.
professional, and, you know, because again, this is confidentiality, and people don't always understand that. So once we really have to, you know, get across to these people too, that, you know, just because you know this family, and you knew that they were positive last week, or whatever, you can't go, oh, yeah, and I know this, and this, and I know that, you know, you have to be very professional about it, and know that it's still a confidentiality thing, and there's still a stigma with it, and as you all are probably finding out, that, so we don't want just anybody that can come in, but we do want.
Yeah, that'd be my only concern of college-age kids
Right.
with their ability to be able to discern
And to kinda-
confidentiality aspect.
You know, somebody who's got some critical thinking skills to say that, you know, we're working with the teachers too, because, and with the schools, and we're learning this as we go too, that, yes, the seating chart is great, but we really gotta think about what was actually happening in that class. Were they really this close that whole time, or so we need people with some critical thinking skills, some communication skills, and some things like that, so.
So I was thinking 12. 12, start with 12 part-time.
Yeah, I was thinking 10, so I think,
That's
but,
a place to start, and I mean, obviously, if you need more, I mean, we can have that conversation, and, hey, this isn't enough, or maybe it's too many, but I mean, obviously, it's too many, they're still trained, and they're ready to go,
They can help
and,
us with the backlog of epi tracks.
right.
We're actually gonna have access to
If they
every track, that's
well,
just the
they
thing.
can take the contact tracing off our people so they can do it.
Right.
Hmm.
Something.
Yes.
Well, I think currently we were paying $25 an hour to the part-time contact tracers, so I think that would be the amount we'd pay to these, so.
May lose some people.
hours that you've been contact tracing?
well,
Might be stealing your subs, right?
but you know, we do, and, you know, you think, we do have Russellville, we have Eugene, we've got other
Yep,
schools that
yep.
aren't
They're all,
here.
they're all with
So
us.
we-
Yeah, there's several private schools like Lighthouse.
Yeah,
and
so we-
Riverboat.
We didn't want to
Well, it
pack
was
the room
fine.
here, so we're.
Well, it was fine,
Guys,
huh?
I called them all yesterday, all the non-publics, and they were all in agreement this
Yeah.
morning.
So can you guys think about where you would like them assigned and where, you know, the placement of them, with some of the logistics for us? Whether you want them just for the diocese or just for, I think that would help us.
We can determine that and communicate.
So were
with
you thinking?
for that.
What were you thinking?
Because like I said, the logistics.
Are you thinking
we don't-
12 or 10 at 20 hours per week limited? Or are you saying,
I'm just thinking we get 12 people, we train them up, they're ready to go, and then if they need to work 20 hours, if they need to work 30 hours, if they need to work 40 hours, it really doesn't matter because it's a rolling 6-month or calendar on total number of hours
yeah. I just wanted to
for,
make sure we had the 6 people covered that they were recommending they would need. So whether it's 12 part-timers, 6 full-timers, or 9 of a combination. And it's not gonna hurt to have extra people trained. So, and it sounds like a glorious job and it pays well, but you also get yelled at.
A lot.
Don't put that part in the paper. So it's not all glorified. You're saving the.
We'll see how many we can get.
Yeah, I think,
So we're good approving up to 12?
I think so, yeah.
I'm good, yeah.
I'm good. We want
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate,
Seriously,
appreciate your
thank you.
efforts. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Appreciate you
Cool.
keeping kids in school.
We good? We on this?
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good. Go back to school.
There we
Go back to school.
Guys, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thank
guys.
you all. Thank
See
you.
you, Dr. Jones.
See you.
Kristen said maybe we have one of those.
That makes sense, so.
Okay.
And that means somebody from our staff will have to work weekends.
Do you guys have any more questions?
That's what I say, I don't know if there's no way to do it.
So on our end, I mean,
That's on them because they.
how do,
Hang on, girls.
on our end, how do we put an X amount of dollars in a line for part-time contact tracers?
So
or-
we have a line set up already that has the 4 people that health department has. I would say you need to add funding to that.
Okay.
We can try to estimate what we think that might be. But I think you really need to think about if you reallocate some of the funding to
Right.
the private schools into that. Because obviously they said that's their need and they can't use it otherwise.
Mhm.
That may be where some of that funding comes from, is a reallocation of their dollars already assigned to them into that contact tracing line.
Okay.
Yeah, Kristen, that was my thought exactly, that would be kind of the first, seems like that would be the first area that you could reallocate.
Yeah, I like that. That's,
Then I think also too, if some of these people need to get laptops or Chromebooks or whatever they need to do some of that other data entry type stuff, I mean, I think we need to look at that as well. If they don't necessarily need to be at the health department, if they can access but I don't know if they can or
It just
not.
depends on the state system if they can, but you know, like I said, maybe one of these 12 is at the health department inputting all
Right.
of that stuff into EpiTrack so that other people are feeding them.
Sure.
Well,
It's, yeah, it's just, yeah, we'll talk.
yeah, and we did have a couple of laptops built into the one you guys approved
Right.
this morning
Right.
that we could reallocate to the health department.
Okay.
Not all of those were assigned to a particular person yet, so
Okay.
we do have a few there but it's getting those laptops here at the moment, because Brian said most of them are back ordered and
Okay.
things like that. The schools might be able to help out a little bit.
yeah. That's good.
Okay.
That's good.
Well, Julie, I'll let you go, and then we'll look forward to your information for Thursday's meeting then.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Julie.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's good.
Okay, we'll get that up on our website, and I will get it sent to the schools.
Okay.
Play it up big, Jeff. Front page.
Yeah. I started making a list, so I'll send that to you, Debbie.
Okay.
So do we have anything else?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we just do it if we don't, yeah. Did you hear that? We're gonna estimate like 30 hours per person for the 12 at $20 an hour to get it.
I move we stand in recess till 4:30.
Right to the.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.